One simple scanner, just one window in Trade Ideas wheeled me back from a negative 33K start to June, and I managed to end the month green. Also, after realizing the power of the 200 daily SMA, it led me to backtest a simple strategy which showed a 100% return over the last 3 months with a 5K risk per trade. And if compounded it using 20% of the account, we're talking about a 3,800% return in a year. Today I'm going to break that down, how I set up the alerts, how I actually use them live, and I'll even send you the exact layout and configuration file that you can upload yourself in Trade Ideas if you click my link. Real quick, this video is for educational purposes only, and it's not financial advice. I'm sharing what works for me, but I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research. Trading small caps is risky. But let's dive in and I'll walk you through how I found this edge and how I use this tool. Now, before I show you the setup, let me be transparent. This was not a great month where every trade was green. I started June with 2 brutal red trades that you can see on the 3rd and the 4th. We're talking about gut punches, 15K and 18K losses. And from there, it was a grind, but wheeled my way back slowly, trade by trade. And I ended the month green thanks to this, mainly this one setup. Now, I trade a lot of discretionary stuff, the kind of stuff that's harder to package in a video and teach, but this was repeatable. The setup was what I started sizing into more aggressively, and it's the one I've back tested over 100 plus trades now that I'm about to go over. And let me show you how I find those trades using Trade Idea alerts. I've always valued my Trade Idea alerts. I use it heavy for pre-market, especially to catch like the parabolic movers early. I want to be notified quickly when a stock starts ripping before the open, and Trade Ideas is what kind of keeps me ahead of the move here. And the key to this back test is when a stock gets within 4% of the 200 daily SMA, I get alerted. That's it. That's the trigger. Now for the back test, it simulated taking a short position right at the moment the second it touched that zone. In real life, I think I can get an even better entry by watching the tape or waiting for confirmation. But to keep it simple, just assume the entry happened at the alert. That's the way the back test did. Stop loss of 10% and closing at 3:59 p.m. I tested this across 115 trades. As you can see, I simulated a 25K account using 5K per trade, but it doesn't have to be that size. If you have 2,500 and you're using 500 risk per trade, it's the same concept. The edge doesn't really care about your account size. The math scales. So, and before I get too much into the back test results, I want to keep it, 100% real. In these back tests, we're assuming you can enter and exit perfectly. No slippage, no borrow fees, no commissions. But in real trading, those things matter a lot, especially as your size increases. So if you're trading $500 position, you can easily get out to the penny. But once you're trading 5 or 6 figures, especially in small caps, you can start moving the stock yourself. Slippage becomes real. A few cents on a thin name can add up quickly. And if there's a wide spread or low liquidity, you might not get a clean fill at all. It can take multiple orders to exit, and every tick eats up the profit. So you also have to factor in, locate fees for shorts, especially on the hot runners, depending on the tickers. That can be cheap or more expensive. So while the backtest gives us a great look at the raw edge, don't take it as gospel. The realistic model, which I use here, I go by risking 5K per trade with a tight 10% stop loss. That's scalable, repeatable, and something I've personally been able to execute across dozens of tickers. So let's take a look at what the results actually show. So here's the model. And as you can see, the X's, red X is a loss, green is wins. And as you can see, there's some rough patches where you go sideways, but over the 3 months, exponential growth. And this is the conservative model. So no compounding, no scaling. I just take a trade with the same fixed 5K position size, and I follow the rules. Over the 3-month back test, the model pulled in about 28K in profit. And I'll go into the next slide. So as you can see here, the total trades was 115, 64 wins, 51 losses. The win rate was 55%, which is low for me. I'm a statistically like a high 80, low 90% trader. But I needed to find a good level to stop out here for the back test, and 10% made sense. I tried 20, 50, 100, all kind of different ones, and I like the results of the 10% stop loss. Average winner $786, loser negative 437. So over the 3 months, 25K account went to $53,000, which is 112% return. Um, which is between the wins and losses about 244 per trade. Profit factor, which I'm sure most of y'all are aware of, for every $1 lost, $1.80 was gain. So that equals 112,000 in profit in a year with a 25K account. Total year in equity would be, let me do some quick math, about 137,000, which is a 450% annual return. Pretty insane considering there's no leverage, no aggressive scaling, just pure rinse and repeat execution of the setup. And if we were to scale using that same, 5K to 25K is roughly 20% of your account. So compounding 20% each trade, the compound curve ends at the year with a total of $987,000 starting from just 25K. That's a 3,850% return, all from the exact same backtesting strategy. But this is, I got to be clear, the compounding version sounds amazing, but it's not realistic for most traders. Once your accounts grow and your position gets larger, you start running into things like slippage, liquidity gaps, and not being able to enter or exit cleanly without moving the stock. But the fixed 5K model is the baseline. It's clean, realistic, and still very, very profitable. And here's the general setup. Trade ideas is pretty straightforward, but it does have a little bit of a learning curve, which is why I offered to share my configurations. But the general setup is a stock 50 cents to $15, market cap under 200 million, float under 50 million, must be up at least 40% for potential entry trigger. I prefer 50. And the special trigger that separates this alert is whenever it approaches the daily 200 within 4%. It entered a position, the short, and the profit and stop, if it doesn't hit the 10% stop loss, is closed daily at 359. That's basically what the back test was. Discretionary filters that I think would make this strategy even better is potentially holding into after hours if dilution is likely based on Ask Edgar, if they have any active S1s, warrants. I will tend to hold stocks like that into after hours if I think there's a high probability of a dilution or offering in after hours, which can lead to a 20 to 50% plus drop. So if you spot it, it pays big. So a tweak would be skipping the 3:59 p.m. close and ride as it fades down if it's, kind of a trash ticker. And when I would pass is if it was all green on Ask Edgar. Fundamentally strong, meaning high institutional ownership, good cash position, cash flow positive, and no real red flags. There's not an edge, so that might be a good one to pass on because all this data included all these recent crypto treasury plays that just blew past 200 daily SMA. So they hurt the numbers, which leaves me to my next one, news and theme matters. So if it's riding a hot sector, proceed with caution or avoid. I've taken too many hits shorting crypto treasury plays over this year. I avoid them now. I am red on those plays. So edge improves when you filter out the hot theme runners as well. So the backtest didn't include some of these points I hit, but I believe these are ways that I scan and look at stocks and decide whether to enter them. And I believe a little bit of discretionary filters would improve this as well. So here's the truth. I couldn't do this without trade ideas. This setup doesn't work if I'm manually scanning, 300 tickers and I'm flipping through charts all morning. And as you can see, it makes it look like it alerts it like 20 times in a row. This is what happens when you look at history. I think it's because it triggers it multiple times, but I normally only get one alert because here's an example of not looking at the history. This was just from the last trading day. I didn't, because you can go back in here, go to history, whatever. And this is just the what it looked like for my other alert. So you can see sometimes there's a few in a row, but that's if it's like making like massive new moves. But let's get back to the 200 SMA test. So like I was saying, it feels like a cheat code to me having the trade ideas alert. So it notifies me, and I'll walk through some of these examples. This was just the last trading day. And yeah, and I'm not just saying this to hype this tool. This is literally what I use to find my best trades, and I've been using it for years. And it actually does a lot more than just real-time alerts. All the backtest results I shared earlier, I got them inside Trade Ideas, and it's not some weak back tester that only lets you, test a single stock at a time. This lets you run a strategy over the entire market using the exact filters. You can add float, volume, whatever. And yeah, but it goes way beyond that. They have this Holly AI, other AI tools, pre-built strategy templates, and it's honestly one of the best tools I use every single day. So have a link in my description. Again, I'm about to show you. I already showed you the results. I'll walk through a few trades here and show you just how these plays have been money lately. If you have a good stop loss, don't let it get out of control if it goes against you. So the first example is LUCY, and as you can see, it already clearly has a history of struggling to break above the 200. This one was pretty interesting, literally like right on the dot at $5, which probably made this move even stronger because it had to come all the way from like 230 range, and $5 is a psychological level. It's hard to break anyways. Timed it with the daily SMA and immediately failed. Looking at the 5 minute, let's see if we can find it. Where is it at? It was this right here. So as you can see right here, $5, it alerted, and look what it did afterwards. I mean, all the way back down to below 350. And this one didn't give you a lot of time to enter the trade, but a lot of times it'll bounce around in this area, but still hits it, fails, tries a little retest here, can't get above it, fades away. There were so many entries for this position. And the next ones, just so I'm not cherry picking, I literally just looked at, just to show you proof. So this is the history. First alert was at 650 SGN. I'm just gonna go through the first three plays. There's two winners, one losers. Just literally just trying to be honest with the most recent ones that went off. SGN, for example, you pull it up right here. It was during pre-market, so the way my trade ideas is, it might be just how I have it set up, but it doesn't actually show the whole move. You'll see when I go into the daily right here that it actually got all the way up here to $4. You go back to the year to date, that is where the daily was at, and it rejected. It rejected. So that was a clean short. Few entry opportunities, and by the end of the day, it was below 250, and that could have been a $4 entry. The next one, as you saw on the alert, was GAUZ. The 200s, roughly about 920. We go to the daily 5 minute. It got all the way up to 10 actually, but it could not hold. So just busted through, couldn't hold, came back down, could not hold over the 200 daily. So two wins right there. And then this was a loser. So let's look at the year to date. This was the next one that was alerted, FTTT. So it started at 147. The crazy thing, most people probably wouldn't be able to get an entry here because the ones that lose like this are usually the ones that just blow past it and doesn't look back. So if we look at the 5 minute on this one, so where was it at? It was at like below 250. Look at the 5 minute, and it was already above 250 this candle. So I mean, like just a few candles in, it busted past it. So you know this one to get out of. As soon as it hits this, it breaks a new high. Most people are out right there anyway. So most people wouldn't have been able to get an entry till around $3 anyway. So two wins, one fell, but just wanted to give an honest example of how these usually play out. And like I was saying too, it's there's a way to this is very black and white, just it entered whenever it got the trigger, but with adding a few discretionary things like looking at the news, how does it look on Ask Edgar for like an example. Let me pull up, like, so look at this ticker, NSPR, all red on dilution tracker. That's interesting, only 1% institutional ownership. So obviously, I feel more comfortable entering that one as opposed to ABVE, which is almost all green, just one yellow. And I actually did trade this one and took a decent sized loss on it because I ignored the fundamentals. But that is okay. And this is Ask Edgar. It's similar. It's similar to a main competitor most people know about. I'm not going to mention their name, but I like Ask Edgar better. It has an AI feature as well that you can, ask about dilution or other questions related to the tickers. It's free and paid version, but the free actually includes a lot of stuff. So I have a link for that as well. And there's also a link for TradeZero. When you for executing this strategy, you almost need a specific shorting broker. I use TradeZero. Like I said, I have a link with certain discounts and stuff below, but there's other good brokers out there. That's the one I use, but obviously there's others that you can look at as well. But this is hard strategy to do with Webull, Robinhood, things like that. You almost need a specialty shortened broker, and there's a few out there, but I really do like TradeZero as well. And before I leave, I got to give a shout out to some of the the gains we have been flexing the past week, especially Steven, end of the week with almost 8K. Dude's a beast. If you got value out of this, make sure to hit the like button, join the group, it's free, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And if you're ready to try trade ideas, the link is in the description. And if you use it, reach out to me in the group, send me a DM on Instagram, and I can assist with showing you where the configuration's at if needed. So anyways, appreciate you watching. Trade smart, manage your risk, and I will catch you on the next one.